Alright, welcome. This is Geometry A. We're talking about measuring angles right now. And measuring an angle, well, first we need to define what an angle is. Okay, an angle is made up of two rays or two segments, however you want to line it up. Or you could even do two lines. We're just going to start with the traditional rays. Okay, and what usually happens is they have letters to connotate the three non-collinear points. Remember, last time we talked, well, 2 times ago we talked about non-collinear means they're not on the same line. So, okay, these two rays are intersected at a certain point, okay, and the space or the amount of space between the two rays is what is called the angle. Okay, all right. This is going to be the vertex of one side, or I'm sorry, no. B is going to be the vertex of the angle, and these two are called the sides. So this is side AB, and this is side BC. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. So anytime you have any kind of shape and you have some space in between the two sides, like let's say for example traditional square, okay, the angles are going to be these parts in here. Okay. Alright, now to talk about some I guess measure, we use a protractor basically is what you use, and a protractor is actually a semicircle. Let's use a different color. Let's go blue. There we go. A protractor is a semicircle and it has notches, so like in the middle is 90, right here is 135, right here is 45, and so on and so on. And so you can go from 0 to 180 on this side and measure it, or you can go the reverse. You can go from 0 to 180 on this side. Okay, and usually right here is 90, and depending on which direction you go, this is 45 or 135, and this is 135 or 45. So you can measure out an angle in there. So what you would do is you would take your actual angle, you would put the center right underneath the 90, and then you would actually measure the angle measurement. Okay, and you would line it up with the numbers on the edge. Okay, and this one would probably be pretty close to about 60. Okay, so this angle measurement is what we would call 60 degrees. Okay, all right, so that's measuring them right there. Some measurements that you do need to know: if it is 90 degrees, 180 degrees are going to be a common theme throughout the entire semester, plus and also 360 is as well. Okay, but if something is less than 90 degrees, okay, we call this an acute angle. Okay, if something is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180, okay, we call that an obtuse angle. Okay, if something is making a right angle of a box, right angle, I just called it what it is. If it's making a 90-degree angle, so in other words it equals 90, that is a right angle. Okay, now if something makes a straight line and you're just looking at it, we call it a straight angle. Okay, and that's this angle that's made just by this. Okay, alright, and that's equal to 180. Alright. Okay, and so for now we're just going to be dealing with between 0 and 180 as our angle measurements. You know, real fast, if I want to say that two angles are the same and you're like, I don't know if they are. I will use these notations of these little arcs and say that they're the same. So that means congruent. Okay. However, if I was over here and I drew two more angles and you didn't know that they were right next to each other, or you didn't know that, and I said they're not congruent, I use a different amount of arcs. So this is not congruent, whereas these two are congruent. Okay, so if we just use that, we should be all set and ready to go. Okay. Really nothing else to really talk about, because this is just introduction stuff. You do need to have these all memorized when you're working with them, so you do need to know the difference between them. Oh, and no, I did remember one thing. So let's say you have a angle with another ray in between. Okay, these two would be adjacent. Okay, so these two angles would be adjacent. So this is adjacent with this because they're right next to each other. These two are not next to each other, so these are not adjacent. Okay. Thank you guys very much. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.